Can the one-term wonder George H.W. Bush defeat the Trail of Tears president and Andrew Jackson? Join us tonight, guys, in our main marquee matchup as H.W. Bush takes on Jackson in this Week 6 Presidential Smackdown. Hey guys, welcome back to the Mr. R Show. It is Week 6 of the Presidential Smackdown, Ash, and it feels good to have a non-political, obviously, but non-impactful in the terms of it's not going to make anybody upset. We're not talking about any kind of politics that are controversial. It's just fun in a video game style format to see who is the best president. We are in Week 6, Ashton, out of our 10-week series, so we're getting closer and closer to the end. And Ashton, we finally finalized the playoff format. Do you want to go ahead and announce it to our viewers?
All right, guys. So we're going to have 5 people from every division go on to the playoffs. The first week is a wild card type format where the 2 lowest seeds who don't win their division get to move on into the playoffs, and they play each other for a chance to play the number 1 seed in the divisional round, and 2 and 3 ranked teams or presidents get to play each other in the divisional round. The divisional round has 2 matches. They play each other, and then the both winners of those games move on to the conference championship for the respective conferences for the Republicans and Democrats. So, Andy, what's your first reaction to this playoff format? You think it'll provide some good entertainment?
I think actually the Republican conference playoff run is going to be a lot more interesting than the Democratic one. We've seen throughout this presidential smackdown, the Republicans are very competitive. There's a lot of good sleeper picks in that 3, 4, 5 range, not just top heavy, kind of like the Democrats are.
Yeah, definitely. But I will say this, everyone, look for those videos because we won't have to do quick little breakdowns. So those matches are going to be long. And I feel like the playoff format's going to have different effect for different people because, we do these short, I think it's like 12 or 21 week games. We'll be going to 40 weeks, Andy. So I definitely expect some candidates to, let's say, lose steam in this playoff format, and that's kind of like the NFL. Like some players and teams do better as the season goes on, and some kind of fall off, and I expect the same with the SmackDown. So Andy, let's go ahead and get into these matches. I will go ahead and break down this first one, and it is Jimmy Carter versus Bill Clinton.
The peanut farmer himself, Ashton. He's been doing very well in this presidential smackdown. How did he win his matchup in your simulation?
Yes, so as everyone will remember, Jimmy Carter had a rough week 5. I believe that was his first loss. He got knocked off that week, but I'm really excited to report to everyone. I'm going to cut to the chase. Jimmy Carter he is just so dominant, Andy, especially against other DNC players. When he's home, he wrecks shop. He really does. Bill Clinton gave him a run for his money, and I was a little surprised that Bill Clinton kept in it all game. The Southeast was in almost entirely purple, besides Texas. But in general, Jimmy Carter was able to land that plane, got a over 300 electoral vote win. Again, Bill Clinton kept it close, but I definitely expect to see Jimmy Carter continuing the role as the season goes on. And like you said, the DNC's a little top heavy. Jimmy Carter is a machine, and the peanut farmer got to be afraid for him.
Yeah, Ashton, I will say this about Clinton. I think the biggest key to his loss that in your game was him being the Republican candidate, not being able to use his strength as the Democrat and take Arkansas away from a Republican challenger. So with him not having Arkansas as easy to grab, him being so already in his it's already going to be in his arsenal. Him already being the Republican, it's not getting that extra couple electoral votes that he could steal and get a
Hmm.
lead. I think that
He
did hurt
lost
him.
Missouri too, which was a big hurting thing. Like when you're a Republican, you win New Mexico and Colorado, but lose Missouri, you lose some steam there. You have to pick up those electoral votes somewhere.
Yeah, Ashton, 100%. But good win for Carter in your game.
Hmm. So let's go ahead and move on to a really, it could have been a marquee matchup, JFK versus Reagan. And I was a little surprised by how weak JFK started this one off. And as everyone can see, Reagan just builds and builds the entire game, his base of support. Like at one time, California was like almost ruby red. That is not a good sign for a Democrat. Yeah, eventually JFK turns it around and he gets New York and California blue. But like by that time, like Texas, Georgia, North Carolina, Virginia, Ohio are all ruby red. It's just like Reagan building on what was a landslide almost. It ends with Reagan getting 332, JFK only getting slightly above 200. It isn't a wipeout. I think JFK was able to pull out some states out of his, behind, like Ohio, which kind of stopped it from being a total massacre. But a really solid win by your RNC's Ronald Reagan. Again, the DNC candidates are underperforming against Republicans, and that trend continues this first season.
Yeah, Ashton, I am a little shocked that JFK didn't do that well against Reagan. I mean, it makes sense Reagan coming from California. It makes California a lot harder for him to keep in his arsenal for JFK there. But I really think he would at least do a little bit better against Reagan. I know how good Reagan was in real life, but you would think at least the video game format would give JFK a little bit of credit for being as charismatic as he was. But, give credit to Reagan, give credit to my Republican candidates. We're just kind of mopping the house when it comes to the Republican versus Democratic games.
Hmm. Yeah, and the next one, LBJ versus Obama, this one was a nail biter, Andy. It was such a weird map starting out. You had Obama as the Republican starting off with very good position in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and North Carolina. But you had Lyndon B. Johnson starting off strong in Texas, Florida, and Ohio. So it was a really weird map to start out. These two in the same division. I mean, really Lyndon B. Johnson really needed a win. He didn't have a win up to this point. He was winless. And he was desperate, and as you can see, starting off, um, to be honest, I thought Obama was gonna run away with this, Andy. I really did. And as the game goes on, like Obama has Ohio, Wisconsin, Texas, and Georgia all red, ruby red for him. I thought this game was done. And then you started to see slowly that rare comeback from a bad early and mid game happen. And you start to see Lyndon B. Johnson start to make state after state purple. And then I was biting my nails the whole time because I thought Obama was gonna pull it, and then Lyndon B. Johnson pulls the clutch win and gets it with California. And he lost a few blue states, but kudos to Johnson. He really needed this win. I think this is a dropped opportunity by Obama to kind of take hold of that first place in the entire DNC, and he drops the third because of it.
Ashton, your Democrats candidates have been looking bad this week. You have JFK losing him being the top of the DNC South, Obama losing to an unwinnable candidate up to that point in the DNC West. So you only have one candidate in Carter that looked anywhere good this week. Him at 4-1. While you look at the Republicans, and we'll get to it in a second, we have three candidates at 4-1 versus your one. So I don't know what's going on. I mean, kudos to LBJ finally getting that big victory against arguably one of the best candidates you have in your conference. But it goes to show you that if they can't figure it out against themselves, which maybe lesser talent, I can say maybe, they're not going to have a shot in sending someone to that championship game that can actually win.
Yeah, I definitely think with Obama, he needs home field advantage. He needs a higher seating because I think he's one of the stronger away candidates, but he's not Jimmy Carter. Like Jimmy Carter is excellent away. He struggles when he's actually at home more than he does away. So it's reverse with Obama, but we'll see how it goes on.
Yeah, Ashton. But let's go ahead and flip it to my games, my slate of three games in the Republican Party. How did we do? How did we shape up? The first one is kind of a shocker, Ashton. I know we kind of dabbled on this one a little bit before this video we recorded it, but Abe Lincoln, as the way Democrat, got his booty smacked against Teddy Roosevelt. It was just not like at the beginning, Teddy being from New York helped him really have that state 50-50 at least for the most of the game. Was very back and forth throughout the whole game. But you look at week 7, around the 7-6-8 area, Teddy started to take that lead, and you started to see things shift. He started to take Wisconsin, Minnesota, Ohio, and Arizona off for the Republican Party. So you're like, okay, good job, Teddy. You have just, it keeps going throughout the whole weeks, Teddy kind of just building on his lead. It was tied though at week 12, and you're like, okay, maybe Lincoln can come back. But man, getting at the tail end of this matchup at week 19, Teddy jumped from like 1% up to like 6% up at one point. He just, for some reason, one week decided the whole country loved Teddy, and he went way up there in the standings. That carried all the way to election night. Teddy won most of the Northeast, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Florida, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Arizona, and even Hawaii. He won, Ashton. He just won
Mhm.
everything. Ended up with the 372 to 166 electoral count,
Ooh.
and a really bad performance from Abe, but a great win for Teddy, and that's going to help him win his division.
hmm Yeah, Teddy needs to stay up with big old George H.W. Bush, and he is up to this point. I think it's sad for Lincoln because he really needed that win to stay in pace with Ike, and I don't know if Lincoln will be able to do it.
Yes, and speaking of Ike, moving on to the next game, Ike goes up and gets another game ahead of Lincoln because he gets a good win against Truman. Spoiler alert there. But you look at this matchup, it was no clear really favorite at the beginning of the game, Ashton. But then you start seeing Missouri go blue, and you're like, maybe Truman can do this. Truman takes some slight leads. He starts building this lead. Truman gets Florida and Pennsylvania in this game. But towards the middle, towards the end, Ike, known for his fight, known for his military prowess, starts to fight back, Ashton. And he, going into week 20, virtually had this game tied. Lots of states to be called, but Ike gets the benefit of the doubt, winning Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Florida, Colorado,
hmm
Arizona, and Oregon, stealing Oregon away, while Truman does get Michigan, Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota, Missouri, and Nebraska, shockingly, goes blue. But Ike wins a close 11 electoral vote victory at 281, just 11 over the 270 threshold to 257, Ashton. And what's very stands out about this game is Truman had a huge difference in the popular vote, 81.28 million to 77.19 million, and still lost by over 20 electoral votes. Just goes to show you, electoral colleges, you can win while not winning the popular vote. We've seen that. So good one for Ike. He distanced himself from Abe.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a karma thing because Truman, his only win came in week 2 when he lost the popular vote but pulled out a 34 electoral vote win. So that's probably the highest electoral win for someone who's lost a popular vote was Truman's only win, and he ends up losing it even though he got 80 million this time. So it doesn't surprise me. Truman has been struggling this whole time. The entire DNC North, Andy, it's one big struggle up in the North.
Speaking of strugglers, Ashton, very good transition there. We go to two struggling RNC candidates. I'm pretty sure it's the RNC South Division down there with Reagan. And the Democrat Ford takes on Nixon in kind of a battle of losers, if you will. Not a very interesting game to really watch, honestly. But Ford, being, he was the Senate representative also from Michigan, he got that lead early in Michigan. That kind of carried him over, helps him throughout the game, Ashton. And the interesting one was Texas was up for the grabs. It was a very 50-50 state was Texas, and you wouldn't think Ford would keep Texas, you know, competitive, but maybe Nixon is just that bad of a candidate. Ford does strengthen his lead, though, getting some of these other states, while Nixon just struggles and struggles throughout the game. You have all swing states being Texas, Florida, Ohio, South Carolina, North Carolina, Kentucky, all were swing states in Week 16. So you saw a lot of pink. You're going to see a lot of pink in this matchup between the two. But at Week 17, Ford just kind of takes hold. That chokehold, puts his foot down. He gets a 6% lead up on up on Nixon. I'm sorry about that. And after Florida goes to Ford late, it was already over. Ford wins a 337 to 201 count. He flips states like South Carolina, North Carolina, Ohio, and Florida to his favor, and states like Ohio and Missouri. That just leads to a very hefty win and over a 13 million popular vote difference in that victory. So Ford got a win. It really won't change much in the standings, but good win for Ford, who desperately needed one.
Yeah, the thing about this win for Ford is if he can knock off Reagan next week, he'll be tied divisionally with Reagan, and there aren't any more division games for the RNC West after that. So it's theoretical Ford could kind of snatch that lead of the division if he knocks off Reagan and starts to climb back his way into contention.
100% Ashton. But before we get to our marquee matchup, Ashton, let's run down all the games this week and throw up the current standings. There you guys go. Here is the current standings throughout all of this. You look at the DNC North, JFK up there winning that division, Carter winning the DNC South, Obama, very close lead in the DNC West, George H.W. Bush, the game tonight, is in the leading in the RNC North, but that could change with a loss. Eisenhower is leading in the RNC South, and Reagan is leading in the RNC West. Ashton, any of these leaders or close second, third place guys kind of strike you as surprising, or any comments?
In general, it's like we've been saying, it surprised me. I thought it would be more balanced, especially later in the season between the DNC and RNC, and you see a lot higher wins because the DNC, I believe, has only had two or three R versus D matchups where the D's have won, and that's out of like eight or nine. So they are definitely on their heels when they play Republicans, and they gash each other too on top of that. So you have a lot of piety, or not piety, but like a lot of balance between in division with the Democrats, and they don't just have like two, they only have one person that's like a shining star right now, and that's Jimmy Carter. You could say Bill Clinton and like Obama, I would kind of say that, but both have two losses, and I think JFK is a paper tiger. The only reason why he has a good division record is because he plays against FDR and Truman, and both of them are terrible.
100% Ashton. We're kind of feeling out, we're into week 6 already. We're starting to feel out who these top dogs are in each division, like Reagan and even Ike in there in the Republicans, and obviously Jimmy Carter, the peanut farmer, surprising everybody and how dominant he has been in this SmackDown. So it's good to see we're starting to take shape as we get closer and closer to the playoffs. They have week 7, 8, 9, and 10, so 4 more games, 4 more chances. Some of them a little bit less than that, depending on their buys, to prove themselves and to get that spot out of the
Mhm.
5 places we have.
All right, Andy, let's go ahead and kick this bad boy off. Right now it's pretty basic DNR map. No one has anything special. No one has anything not. Iowa, Ohio, and North Carolina start off as a early lead for George H.W. Bush. Um, Again, I don't know how much Jackson being from Tennessee helps him if he can keep a hold of that state or not, Andy. Right now it's still gray. Uh, what do you think will happen throughout this game? Because HW doesn't get a bonus for being from Texas.
Yeah, Ashton, I really don't think that Jackson's going to keep Tennessee. I think HW is just going to come and get that. Tennessee's a tough state for any Democrat to keep a hold of, even if that's your home state. And I think HW is just going to keep. I think he's a better candidate. And like I said, predicting this video, I think he's going to win, and I think he's going to be
Mhm,
showing it in very, very shortly.
mhm. Andy, I gotta agree with you. Andrew Jackson, every time I watch him, he's always disappointing and he always starts losing pretty heavily early on. I mean, right now it's week 5. He's down 3 percentage points in the popular vote and he's losing the Midwest. That's not a good situation early on. Now, I've seen candidates come back. It doesn't happen often. Like right now, he's strong in Pennsylvania. That's solid in the Northeast. But you got to do better. He's going after social justice. Andrew
Oh no,
Jackson, um, and I, HW is going after taxing the rich. So this will be
geez,
interesting.
HW, what are you doing there? You're trying to hold on to some of these states. Taxing the rich is not a normal Republican thing, honestly. You wouldn't think that
Well,
from
he
HW.
did say no new taxes, and then uh, got
Yeah,
smacked for that.
at least at least the president, the political machine knows the truth about HW and his no new taxes.
Yeah, he promises things. Oh man, Andy, I don't. There's a lot of red on this screen right now. Like Jackson doesn't even have Minnesota or Washington or anything. Oh,
Yeah,
Minnesota just went blue. Uh oh,
I think
HW is going after universal health care.
what? Such weird things for HW. I don't know how that's going to affect him. I think it's going to kind of give Jackson some more leeway when he really shouldn't have it. Give him some more time to get back in this game, get some more of these, blue wall states, if you will. I don't think it'll be enough, but he's allowing Jackson to stay in this game longer than honestly he
Mm.
should be.
Yeah, so this is an interesting map, Andy. Just by the fact that Tennessee is solid blue right now, Pennsylvania, Michigan are purple, Virginia's gray, and Florida's purple too. So there's a lot of weird state combinations. HW has that light red in Wisconsin, Iowa. Good states to have, but he's not able to finish off Andrew Jackson. That is kind of worrying me. And Andrew Jackson has the lead in the popular vote right now by 1%.
Yeah, Ashton, but I wouldn't give that too much credit. You look at some of the matchups earlier in the day and how Truman had, over 3 million lead in popular vote and still lost to Ike. So I really wouldn't give that too much of a thought because Democrats usually have more popular vote. It happened in real life. We've seen really two straight elections where people can debate the outcome.
Hmm. Yeah, and now Michigan goes dark blue, but Florida goes dark red. So they're fighting heavily over Florida. I think Andrew Jackson really, really needs Florida. Iowa and
Yeah, 100%
Minnesota are
Ashton.
both light blue. Jackson is being way more competitive than I thought he would be, Andy. He's
I think
duking this
Jackson is
out.
I think Jackson is doing a lot better, Ashton, but I also think that goes in return with Bush being kind of weird when it comes to his policy stances of what he wants to do. Like we said earlier, he's allowing Jackson to stay in this when H.W. Bush has proven to be a better candidate overall.
Hmm. Yeah, wow, Texas goes purple and North Carolina goes purple. Now North Carolina's blue. And we are going against the wall here, and I'll go ahead and stop it. Um, Andy, right now we have a map where Texas and Florida now are dark red after they went blue for like a week. Georgia is dark red, Ohio is dark red, but Pennsylvania is blue, Minnesota is blue. Um, there's a lot of gray states. Kentucky is gray, Iowa is gray, Colorado's gray, but North Carolina's
I will
purple, Tennessee is
I will
purple.
I will say this, Ashton. Kentucky's possible to flip. We've seen Colorado flip. But of all the times I have done simulations for the 6 weeks we've had, I've seen Texas go purple a lot. But I've never seen it change hands from the Republicans to the Democrats. Can Jackson be the one to do it? I don't really think so, Ashton, and that's not gonna
Well, it's
that's
dark
gonna
red
give Bush.
now. It's dark red, so I don't think Jackson's going to end up winning it. Tennessee is interesting. I mean, Rhode Island is purple, New Hampshire's purple, so it's really anyone's game. Jackson has the 2 point lead in the popular vote, so I actually think he's a favored person to win it on election night right now.
You're giving it to Jackson, Ashton?
Um, I think Jackson will end
Wow.
up pulling it out.
I mean,
Looking at this
I
map.
gotta still give I still gotta give it to Bush. I think he just shaves off and holds off of Jackson just enough to win.
Okay, let's go ahead and start off. Um, Andy, it's going to be interesting to see going into this as the map builds and okay, Maine, Rhode Island, Massachusetts go blue, New Hampshire and Vermont. So New England is going for Jackson. Um,
That's not really. I wouldn't say that's too shocking,
ooh,
Ashton.
Oh, Jackson won North Carolina. That could be critical, Andy, and Tennessee. Jackson wins Tennessee, North Carolina, and keeps Michigan. This is looking very bad for HW. He needs to pull out some clutch wins.
He
Um,
does it.
Jackson keeps Minnesota. Jackson's at 197. HW is at 213. It's going to come down to the wire. Um, I don't know if W has enough electoral votes out there. Nevada goes blue, Washington goes red. Oh
There
my
we go.
gosh, HW and and Alaska puts HW
There
over
we
at
go.
271.
Bush
Wow.
barely survives, but Bush wins another Presidential Smackdown marquee matchup, Ashton. 271, I think the closest
The
margin of victory throughout this entire series, Ashton. What a
yeah,
win. What a game.
Andy, it is really interesting how George H.W. Bush looked like he was dead meat, and he had to pull off a win in both Oregon and Washington to win it all, and he did. Um, that is amazing seeing that he lost the popular vote. Get this, 69 million to 64 million. He lost it by 5 million votes and
That's
still
not
won.
good, Ashton. I
And
told you,
still won.
you cannot count on HW. I'm saying he's such a good candidate. I'm going to say shockingly in this series, and even in a game where he was making the wrong decisions and keeping Jackson in it, and Jackson kept using that to his advantage and winning these states, he still lost, and it was the closest margin. But give it up for Bush and his performance.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the states. Colorado was a 1 point win for George H.W. Um, Oregon was a 1 point win for George H.W. So those two states in themselves are the reason why George H.W. Bush won this election. That, Andy, I gotta say, um, we've done a good amount of SmackDown up to this point. This was a really good one in the end.
Yeah, Ashton, it's kind of two candidates you would not expect to be as close and as good of a game as it would, and and it did, and it shocked us all. But Bush gets the win, and Jackson with the loss pretty much cements himself, unless he turns around quickly and everyone else has some bad games. He's going to be out of the playoffs.
Yeah, Andrew Jackson, you could tell he was climbing for life, and he was trying to scrape and just get a W he had to have in order to be in playoff contention. But I think it's pretty safe to say now he will be out of playoff contention, and the Democrats take another primetime loss. It's hurting my heart, Andy, being the DNC commissioner. It hurts
Yes,
me
Ashton.
because Andy, it's like the Democrats time to time just underperform. Really, our only two wins coming in prime time are Jimmy Carter and Bill Clinton, and one of those were against Taft, and Taft was like the worst. participant in the entire SmackDown. And even
Oh,
Taft kind of, Andy, it was a good game. Andrew Jackson did better than I expected. I thought he was going to pull off that clutch win at the end, and he almost did, but Oregon just stabbed him in the back.
also, Ashton, to show this kind of difference and this kind of gap between the Republicans and the Democrats in this series is, even though George H.W. Bush now moves on to 5-1, he could still technically miss the playoffs if some of these other candidates keep winning like that. So he wins one more, he basically cements his legacy, but he's so close to getting into those playoffs. But good win for him. Sorry loss for Jackson, and it is what it is in this presidential SmackDown. But guys, thank you for watching week 6 of Presidential Smackdown. We had some great games this week, great results this week, and we're excited to get into week 7 next week, next Friday, right after Thanksgiving, guys. And speaking of Thanksgiving, we are going to do something on Thanksgiving Day with the Presidential Smackdown. We're going to have a little bonus mystery match. It has nothing to do with the standings. It's just going to be a fun little bonus match of candidates that we're going to decide, me and Ashton. We're going to go into it live. We're each going to have our own candidate and just kind of see what happens. So look out for that video. Also, come back next Friday for week 7. Have a great Thanksgiving, guys. Whatever you guys do, if it's going to be social distant or not, just be safe. And we'll see you guys next week.